Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the December 3rd, 2017 supermoon in Gemini. Anyway, people, first thing is, well, the supermoon in astrology, for the few of you that may not know, supermoon in astrology is comparable in terms of its effect to a regular full moon, but it is more intense and powerful than a full moon. Now, this may be attributed to the fact the supermoon is in closer proximity to the Earth than a full moon is. Now, there can also be a prodigious energy shift at this time. A supermoon in astrology can represent the culmination or ending of something. It could be very intense, powerful outbursts and expression of emotions. Being a supermoon, exceptionally uninhibited, unrestrained expression of them. This could also be a time where someone may be more inclined to go public, and it could be with something of significance. Now, this can also be a time where one becomes enough or full, so to speak, of a situation or something in their life. And they say, you know what, enough is enough. Now, in Gemini, this could be a very strong outpouring of manifold and varied emotions. There could be many, but not sustained. This could also be tired. People might become tired of gossiping, perhaps. That may be about them. This is also perhaps a project associated with communication or something connected with dexterity, such as auto mechanics or refrigeration mechanics, comes to conclusion or completion or end at this time. Now, many may be inundated with more emails, errands to run, more communications in general. This could be where people might be dealing with a lot of communication, perhaps communications in general, perhaps going on nearly simultaneously. And it could be a lot more where people really are going to be doing a lot more multitasking during this time now than usual. And if you're somebody at your job where you're not really, showing that versatility or not doing many different things and you're doing just like one main thing, this could be a time where you might be forced maybe be a little bit more adaptable and show that diversity and really be doing a lot more than usual, more different things and responsibilities. It really could be as an emotional need for somebody. So anyway, well, keep in mind, too, that also this could be about many people becoming tired of devious or mischievous behavior by someone. Say if this is in the 5th house, this could be connected perhaps with a child, or it could be a romantic partner, for example. This could really this could be, too, keep in mind, this is at 11 degrees. So as far as, I do believe in Sabian symbols. So with the Sabian symbol, being at 11 degrees, as far as this what could mean, well, this could indicate that many may have had their stature in life diminished due to people that are avaricious and money hungry. And given that this is a supermoon, people might be expressing a very strong emotional outburst over this and expressing it at the people that they think are perhaps responsible for that. Now, and letting them know that they've had enough. Now, this thing, it could be where many are calling others out, expressing they are tired of being used by them and having money taken from them. It's important, too, to look at the house that the supermoon is in, as well, as this, of course, could impact the delineation. Let's say, let's say I'm going to talk about my chart as far as if it is in the 1st house, as in my case, One may become tired of spreading oneself too thin and being overly versatile and not accomplishing or finishing much of anything. It could be where maybe I'm becoming tired of maybe dissipating myself through lack of a concentrated purpose. And it could be, given that it's in my first house, it could be taking a toll on the physical body. And this also, it's also important to look at the aspects this makes to points in your natal chart as well, because this could impact the delineation. Now, let's say, like in my case, this is very interesting for me on December 3rd when this full moon does take place in Gemini, that the supermoon will almost exactly conjoin my natal moon in Gemini. This could suggest on my part perhaps a very strong and exceptional outpouring of manifold Gemini emotions, and at the same time it could be an indication that this could be very strong intensification of what I am comfortable with and accustomed to, and this could be about, I mean, just general diversity as an emotional need, communicating, being loquacious, and perhaps even things connected with just taking little, short journeys like in my neighborhood. So that's another way that this, I think, could manifest for me. So the thing about this is, keep in mind too, when you have a supermoon or even a full moon, I mean, other planetary energy will be intensified as well. That is taking place as far as electionally. Now, there will be a mutable T-square on this day that will be involving the opposition between the Sun in Sagittarius and the supermoon in Gemini. And both those planets are going to be squared by Neptune in Pisces. Now, this could suggest strong opposition and a tug of war, so to speak, between the basic wants perhaps associated with long distance traveling and the emotional need for short journeys. Now, and it's also perhaps there might be a tug of war between wanting to speak with strong veracity as opposed to the need perhaps to choose words more assiduously and say what others want to hear rather than that Sagittarian-like veritable truth. Gemini often will say energy is about saying what someone wants to hear. Sagittarius just says it, and regardless of what the repercussions or outcome may be. So anyway, the thing also, I want to continue with this thing with the mutable T-square. Now, the focal point of the configuration is Neptune in Pisces. Now, this could be a point of overcompensation and excessive accentuation and overemphasis. Some may be inclined toward escapist tactics such as drugs, alcohol, drifting into their fantasy world, being exceptionally reclusive in order not to deal with the opposition energy. And it could be in some cases that trying to maybe make decisions connected with the opposition. In some isolated cases, some may go to psychics, which may be phony or phony mediums or false prophets, if you will. And those people, unfortunately, might capitalize on this and take advantage of perhaps their desperation, so to speak. So anyway, the thing about this is, what's interesting too is keep in mind that Mercury will also be going into retrograde on this day in Sagittarius. So on this day, many may be going back to discussions that were very blunt, forthright, and speaking that Sagittarius-like veritable truth. And with the supermoon in Gemini as well, this could be done with a lot of strong, intense emotional energy, with verbosity even, and with perhaps some harsh Gemini witticisms. An example, someone could say something like, gee, I could wrap a dollar bill around each can in a 5-cent redemption machine and get more back per dollar than I can from you. So, I mean, you might be getting some talks like that, people being overly going back to some blunt discussions and really, and also incorporating perhaps that Gemini wit that could be mixed in with this energy. So Anyway, the one last thing I want to get before I close with this, people, is that keep in mind, of course, that, people, of course, Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant can be affected very strongly by this. Everybody can be collectively affected by this, but especially I think those people that are that have this full moon making a conjunction to one's sun, moon, or ascendant in Gemini, and also, of course, the zodiac sign Cancer, where Cancer is, of course, ruled by the moon, and they are, of course, strongly impacted by all the transits of the moon, whether it's phases and transits and signs or what have you. I think a lot of it has to do with why, Cancer is such a temperamental sign, because there's so many different changes of phases of the moon. You have the different changing in the signs, and the moon changes a sign like every 2 1/3 days or whatever, and somewhere at least that or close to it. So you understand what I'm saying. There's a lot of fluctuation with Cancer with their moods because of that. So that is really why you see Cancer being so changeable, and they have such a vacillation in their temperament. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the December 3rd, 2017 supermoon in Gemini. Stay tuned next time, where I will be actually talking about what I believe, in my opinion, are the most powerful zodiac signs. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.